Thank you, Speaker. The events on Saturday 13 April rocked our state and our city. We lost 6 people in a senseless act of violence, with 12 others injured, including a 9-month-old baby girl. I extend my deepest condolences to the families and friends of the victims. These innocent victims lost their lives doing the most simple of things, shopping on a Saturday or while at work. They should have been safe. 5 of the 6 victims were women. The vast majority of those injured in the attacks were women. Countless other bystanders were caught up in the attack and will forever hold troubling and difficult memories of that day. News of the attacks reverberated around the world and have rightly sparked discussion here in Australia about women's safety, about mental health, and about access to knives. 13 April will be marked as a day of terrible trauma and violence in our history, and it's appropriate, absolutely appropriate, to remember those we lost, but also see this as an urgent call to action to address long-standing issues around the use of violence in our community. Speaker, I want to acknowledge the bravery and selflessness of Inspector Amy Scott, who upon hearing the screams of victims followed and confronted the perpetrator, and I want to commend her incredible professionalism and bravery. Police officers put themselves in danger each and every day, and despite their training for events like Bondi Junction, they can never be fully prepared for what occurred on that day. But without hesitation, Inspector Scott acted so incredibly bravely, and I want to commend her and extend my thanks and best wishes to her. As others, including the Prime Minister, have noted, there were other countless acts of bravery on that day, with bystanders acting to stop the perpetrator from continuing his attacks and helping those who he hurt. In the face of horror and violence, ordinary Australians and frontline responders acted with extraordinary bravery and humanity, demonstrating, I believe, the very best of us. Speaker, the Bondi attack, in conjunction with other terrible events in recent weeks, have led to a necessary discussion about gendered violence. The number of deaths has almost doubled, with a woman dying as a result of gendered violence every 4 days. In the first 4 months of this year, 28 women have lost their lives as a result of gendered violence. Now, our government recognises that gendered violence is an urgent and it's a critical issue for our state, and we need to do more to prevent it. That's why we understand that government must play a leading and effective role. An effective policy response needs to occur, supported by targeted funding. We are making clear to the community that this violence is unacceptable and it must stop. I want to also take this opportunity to acknowledge the women who have lost their lives as a result of gendered violence, as well as the impact it's had on their loved ones and their communities. I'd also like to acknowledge the many women who are survivors of gendered violence, and thank you for your courage that they let victims know that they are not alone, because the power of hearing from survivors improves our understanding of gendered violence and also informs us about our response to it. But that comes with a toll. It comes with the toll of potential re-traumatisation for having to share your story again and again. But we can't leave women alone to address this issue. It should not be up to women alone to protect themselves and to educate others. Gendered violence is not just a women's issue, it's a cultural issue, and it has to change. Good men get involved. Good men stand up against gendered violence and they call out disrespectful behaviour, they step in and they are part of the solution. And that's how I believe together we can stop the violence. Our government, the federal government, recognise the urgency of this issue and have acted and are acting to stop the violence. Speaker, I again offer my deepest condolences to the families and friends of the victims that tragically lost their lives on the 13th of April at Bondi Junction. And I want to extend my best wishes to those also recovering from the injuries that they sustained, physical and mental. To the families, I know there are no words that adequately capture the depth of the loss you feel, and I hope that this condolence motion conveys, on behalf of the people of New South Wales, just how much we stand with you and we share your pain. We will forever honour the lives of the 6 victims, and we understand that while we may never make sense of what happened on that terrible day, we all have a responsibility to act, to do all that we can to make our communities safe for everyone.
I thank the member.